All right, hello everyone, and welcome again to a Monster Hunter Wilds in-depth analysis video. This time we'll be going over the TGS information, not all of it, just the part that comes after the introduction to the basics of Monster Hunter and the trailer. This is going over the new content that was shown in the latest trailer. However, the idea here is that they show some scenes that weren't in the trailer, so I thought we could take a look at that. So without further ado, let's just start.
This trailer marks the world's first look at the new monster, Arkfeld. It will be featured on the game's cover as
Right.
the flagship monster.
So we have Arkveld as the
Known to
new
hunters as the White Wraith,
flagship.
it will be the subject of your expedition to the Forbidden Lands. Arkfeld, with its chain-like appendages,
All of this we already know, so let's see what we go over now. So we have Kumetris.
Symmetries are brute wyverns found in the Windward Plain, their tails along the ground.
Okay, so
They're
one thing they said in the ecology was that they fight with small monsters, and they actually show it now in the trailer.
seen
So looking at this, we can see that
fighting other
there will be some fights with the surrounding ecology, which will be interesting to see how this dynamic will work between us and the monsters.
smaller monsters.
Like, can we take the opportunity to jump it now when it's being attacked by these small monsters? How much damage will it take? Is it like a cutscene, like a turf war, or is it more dynamic or interactive? This is all to be seen. Yeah, and then the Scarlet Forest.
Are teeming with lush flora, diverse
So we see
forest, and its red
the
water.
red tinged water, and I think this is one of the three phases, right? I don't really remember the names of the phases, but I don't know if it's fallow, if it's called, or something. Anyways, this is the phase that comes before the downpour, and so it looks like this. It's basically the middle phase, and then goes into the downpour, which will be the, let's say, conditions where the Duna will be able to spawn, and after that will be the plentiful. And so I guess the scarlet or the red tinged waters will be red before Duna or the downpour. Then we'll get the downpour, and then lastly we get the plentiful period.
The Scarlet Forest
And so,
red tinged waters are teeming
yeah,
with
so we see here, this is the place um, where we see the hunter in the trailer pull down this ledge here on top of the Dashiguma. But I do actually believe as well it will be an entrance into an underwater or under waterfall cave system, I think. And it will be interesting to see if we close it off, what will happen, right? We have some new endemic life with a lot of flora, as can be seen.
and monsters.
And here we have Labarina, or La Labarina, in her den. And we see her making her nest, interestingly. And we're just walking around her like it's nothing. She seems to not be bothering anyone. Maybe looking for food. Remember, these are her hands that look like the pincers. Yeah, so Alala Barina, pretty interesting. Also, I wonder if she'll spawn outside of her den. And one interesting detail here is I think they mentioned somewhere that the reason her nest is red is because the water is tinged red. So I'm not sure if it's either this like area she's in that's making the water become red, or the water being red is what's making her area look red, you know? Again, we have these flies from Monster Hunter World, threat flies or whatever they're called. Again, we're in the fallow period, I think it's called, the one before downpour.
Is adjacent to
And so, yeah.
the Windward Plains.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is one detail that I really love, but will be interesting to see how this will work. But the Windward Plains,
Traveling between areas will not require and
Exactly.
loading screens.
So the Windward Plains and the Scarlet Forest will be adjacent to each other, and you'll be able to go into them, um, like basically how it works in the Guiding Lands. Now, of course, the Guiding Lands is like the areas were very small. We know the Windward Plains is big, and we've seen from the Scarlet Forest videos that it's also pretty big. Now, the issue that might come up is, um, well, is the entire Scarlet Forest accessible without a loading screen? And um, does this also apply for the other regions? So will we be able to travel from the Scarlet Forest to another region seamlessly? And I don't think they need to be adjacent to each other, but will we be able to skip the loading screens? So that will be an interesting thing to see. And also, one more thing, and this is like just nerd talk over here. Does it work if a player is in the Windworld Plains and a player is in the Scarlet Forest? Like, is the entire area instanced? Because that would be interesting if you could like have a hunt ongoing in the Scarlet Forest and then have a hunt ongoing in the Windward Plains. I would love to see that because then it like would really give this immersion of uh, uh, like this open world feel. One thing they would be able or would be interesting for them to do is actually increase the number of players. So for like let's say have a special mode where you can have, let's say, instead of having a gathering hub as a gathering hub, you go into a 16 player lobby, right? A 16 player lobby where you're able to join a shared world where the Windward Plains and the Scarlet Forest and whatever regions are available. And then what you would be able to do is like have four teams of 4 people, and then you'd like have 4 hunts ongoing at the same time, right? So instead of the gathering hub being like this instant small area, you would have the entire map as one instance, and like imagine having one group of hunters fight a monster, another group hunting another monster, but then a third group comes in and joins one of your hunts. So now you're 8 people against this monster, right? Of course, this might be a bit overkill. They'd have to, I guess, um, buff the monsters, make them stronger, or whatever, like balance it. Um, but maybe have this for like special occasion monsters. Something like Safijiva. If not saying that Safijiva will return, but in case of monsters such as that, where it's like special cases. Because I really like the idea of having a raid on a monster, but it it was pushed down by the fact that it was split between all players. You wouldn't see all players all at the same time. That makes sense. But yeah, this is a really cool thing that you don't need any loading screens. I really love this seamlessness.
Meet the Woodwoods, denizens of the
Right. And so here we have the Woodwoods, and they look like a otter race,
forest.
but they're
These
Lionians.
lineans live among the great
And so here we see some footage of them
biodiversity.
in the water, just doing their thing. And they'll probably be found like in the plentiful, uh, wandering the forests or in some areas. I think they'll not be in the forest when there is a downpour, and they might be on guard when there's this fallow period or the period before the downpour. But I think they'll come out and play in the plentiful. I think that's when it's like most peaceful. If that makes
Can
sense.
be seen in the Scarlet Forest.
Yeah, you see, like they have even their own hub and their own area, so they will be a big part of this. And then, as I mentioned in my last video, I really think that each region will have their own people, and then we'll be able to interact with them as part of the story.
See how they've
Um,
adapted to the environment.
yeah, so yeah, we'll see how they adapt it to the environment exactly. So they'll be a cool part of the story. We also saw them interacting with the Yankutkus, and so this really reminds me of the Avatar movie where you tame these birds to be able to fly. So that'll be cool to see because we saw a lot of verticality in the Scarlet Forest, and also like I think the Avatar inspiration comes in more than one form. We saw these endemic life forms, the small birds, and the Scarlet Forest like look like a Legiana hybrid, but also look like these avatar dragons that the characters ride.
Monster Hunter Wilds features dynamic weather in its various locales. Torrential downpours, common in the Scarlet Forest, dramatically alter the area's ecology.
Yeah, so we see it goes from the red tinge to the downpour, and so like these, I guess the downpour is the uh, most dangerous part or phase of the ecology or weather system. So yeah, we see here
Area's ecology.
dangerous monsters come out, and yeah, exactly. So let's see. Let's just. So I don't know if the monster comes down from the waterfall or he's just under this area. I really think there will be a waterfall hidden secret area, but we'll have to see about that. But it might be a little bit hard, like gameplay wise, when you take it down this ledge.
You
What
can make
happens?
use of these
So yeah, we see a secret here to the right, running around.
environmental changes to gain the upper hand.
Yeah, see when it's down, are we still able to access the place, or will it sink, or like how does it work? So it's
But
interesting to see.
beware, the area's apex predator, Uthduna,
With
will
Duna.
appear during
Okay.
these heavy rains.
Yeah,
A leviathan,
she has really cool colors. Actually.
Uthduna makes use of moisture and its own bodily fluids to create a
So let's see here. Again, can I increase the quality maybe? No, this is the highest.
protective veil around it.
Yeah, okay. So it's a really big range on these fins, really big range. So it'll be interesting how we'll use them um, when fighting. It's cool mouth opening here. Like it doesn't open it like a dragon or a wyvern. It's more like it has a bone in the middle down here. But yeah, it's really big. Like it's really big. So and it's, as exactly as I mentioned, it's gonna be fast. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we'll fight it and counter it.
In many such ways.
Yeah, and I think I really find this flow to be cool. If we started the Wayward Plains, and then we move on to the Scarlet Forest, where we get the Ray Dow armor maybe or weapons, and get like an electrical weapon early on, thunder weapon, and so maybe we can counter Uthduna with that. And so, what I think the gameplay mechanic here will be is that if you use elemental weapons against Uthduna, we'll be able to remove its protective barrier. Without it, you'll probably do a lot less damage, and so the only way to remove this electrical barrier or the protective barrier will be through using thunder weapons. But man, it's really big, real big.
This is just a small preview of the new monsters and locales that you'll encounter in
Yeah,
Monster Hunter
exactly.
Wilds. Stay tuned for more information coming soon.
And okay, great. So that was the end of that trailer. If we look back at let's see if they show this new trailer exactly here, right? So, alright, so I found this part in the video, and we can take a look at the armor again. So it seems that we'll be able to, again, with the help of Gemma, our smithy, to craft these armor sets, and they look pretty cool. And remember, they are not gender locked anymore, so you can switch between male and female armor pretty easily. So in this case, we see the Chemetris gun lance in use here, and it seems to be a unique weapon again, which is really good. The only part that I'm not really sure of is this Doshaguma armor set, but it seems to be unique enough. But it builds upon the bone swords. At least it doesn't look like a slap-on completely, where you see these metal bits and pieces going into the bone sword. And again, we have the Lala Ballerina armor, male armor. First time we're seeing this armor, by the way. We saw the female version, but we need to see the male version with the sword and shield. So yeah, it seems that the sword will be the stinger. It seems that's really cool. and we have the Balahara armor set here, and the Insect Glaive. Again, so with these shown, I believe they've shown like 3 or 4 Balahara weapons by this point. So I do really believe there'll be unique weapons um, across every available weapon, so to say. I'll be disappointed if it isn't, but it seems that way. Um, so, which is a good thing because that's what I really wanted. One last thing I wanted to look at is the newest trailer where they show us the Yankutkus. And so, again, the Avatar inspiration, right? We're talking about these, they seem to be tamed, they seem to be the Woodwoods, seem to be in direct communication with these Yankutkus. So it will be interesting to see how they're gonna be used. Because remember, what Ryozo-san said is, please stay tuned for when they appear and how they will appear, right? So the when we'll see the when, right, when we get to the Scarlet Forest, but the how is interesting because it right, they wouldn't give a, let's say, such importance to this cutscene if it wasn't the case that they will be used for something special. And I seen somewhere around online this idea that they might be used for flight between areas in the Scarlet Forest. Now, what would be really cool if they would allow for controllable flight. That's one. And number two, allow us to fly from one region to another without having to, let's say, have a loading screen. Of course, the option would be available for us to just fast travel, but allowing us to also fly there would be really cool. Now, of course, people would just fast travel in the end, but in the beginning, you might have let's say you don't unlock fast travel until you've done number amount of quests. I think that would be a good reward system. Then you wouldn't feel as bad for fast traveling. But yeah, they do really seem tamed. They seem to be, and this area seems to be interactable because we have this flower that we have from Monster Hunter World. I can't remember if it's the chili flower or whatever. I don't think it is actually, but there is this pickable flower that we have that looks just like this one. So we might be able to walk around and we'll see how we interact. Like maybe we'll be able to level up with the Linians and then use the Yankutkus or their challenge as a taxi to get up to this part up here in the Scarlet Forest, right? Maybe we'll have a special monster up there. We don't know. But yeah, so this was really a really cool part. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think they would show this if it wasn't an important part of the story. And yeah, with that, that was my analysis of the newest information. I don't want to go over the basics video because, I presume that if you're watching this, you're familiar with the basics and you're up to date with the information. And so, yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.